If you click into this video, you're most likely to fall into one of these three categories. The first category, you have been triggered by the title and can't wait to jump right down to the comment section down below and smash out comments like, "Screw you, I didn't ask for this depressed life. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know shit," before you have even watched till the end of this video. The second category, you may agree or disagree with the title, but you are mostly intrigued by the title and genuinely curious as to what I have to say. The last category, you're just a loyal subscriber and you're clicking to every video I post no matter what it is. If you're in this group, you're a true one. Before I explain the title, let me share a story of mine that happened a couple of years back. Recounting this story kind of made my heart ache a little, and it was a period of time that I wished I could go back in time and make amendments. Back in secondary school, I've participated in co-curricular activities that gave me some exposure to the aviation industry. It piqued my interest, and over the next couple of years, I've been consuming content and participated in activities that can help me work towards being a pilot eventually in the future. That was the dream that I had back then, to become a pilot and get paid to travel the world. I can still imagine how excited I felt when I dreamed about the prospect of eventually becoming one. Post-polytechnic, I was given the opportunity to participate in certain tests that aims to assess my eligibility to become a pilot. In the first couple of tests, everything was great. I don't face much difficulty with the flight simulation test, the multitasking test, and the theory test. The final hurdle that I had to pass was the medical checkup. I went through with it and felt everything was all great. In the weeks after, while waiting for my medical checkup results to get back, life went on as usual. However, one fateful day, during a training session under the pouring rain, I remember being hesitant to train under such slippery conditions, and I was very wary of slipping as we are training on a slope of a hill. The grass was wet, my clothes was drenched. My friends and everyone else was feeling like crap for being forced to do sprints in this weather. The mood was intense. Our instructors were shouting at us like crazy. I just want this to be over. Before it was my turn to sprint, the instructor was shouting his head off at my friend for running so slow. With my drenched and muddy clothes, the last thing I want is for the instructor to start shouting and cursing at me. When it was my turn, I ran as fast as I could just so I can get this shit over with. However, just before I reached the finishing line, I remember clearly how everything went to slow-mo. I slipped and felt myself falling forward. In that split second, I tried to use my left arm to break the fall. Luckily, I didn't land face first, otherwise I would probably be single for the rest of my life. As I tried to push myself up, I realized that I couldn't because I was lying on my left arm. I tried to move it out from underneath my body, but I couldn't even budge it a little no matter how hard I tried. I thought maybe my arm just went numb from the fall and it'll subside in a while. My instructor felt something was amiss and came over to flip me over onto my back. Immediately after, I saw my instructor's face turn completely pale. He started talking to me in an oddly timid voice, telling me everything is okay, it'll all be fine. At this point, I still had no idea what was going on. Out of curiosity on the numbness of my left arm, I touched my left arm and realized that it was in an awkward position. I slowly felt my way up my elbow, and instead of feeling the usual roundness of the shape of my elbow and the texture of my skin, I felt something hard and sharp. It was then that I realized that I've dislocated my arm, where the bone of my arm came protruding out. I couldn't exactly remember what happened after. Everything was all really hazy, but all I could remember at that point was vague memories of me pleading to my instructor on whether I could still become a pilot. Fast forward after the whole incident, I was basically rejected by the medical board to become a pilot, citing my long-term injury. The me, following that incident, was constantly blaming the external factors. I blamed the weather, the wet ground, the fact that we are training on a hill, and most of all, my instructor, for pressuring all of us to run so hard under such crappy conditions. For the longest time, every time anyone asked me about this incident, I'll always say the same thing. It's all my instructor's fault. It's because of this, it's because of that. This whole career plan of mine that I've worked towards for so many years basically went right down into the drain, and I've no one else to direct this anger and dissatisfaction to other than my then instructor. I've been depressed for the longest time following the incident. To have your dream taken away just like that, I couldn't accept it. I just couldn't. I had no idea what I should be doing with my life now that everything that I've been working towards to all my life had been taken away. Everything has become meaningless. I couldn't eat. I would cry myself to sleep every night. I couldn't focus on anything. I would consume endless amounts of animes and dramas from the moment I wake up until I go to bed, all in the attempt to make myself forget about the true reality that I'm living in. It took me the longest time to finally be able to get over this fact that no amount of being depressed can get me out of this mess. No amount of crying or praying can heal my arm and bring back the opportunity that I've lost. It has been several years since that incident, but every now and then, I've always fantasized on the things that could be if not for that fall. For all I know, I could have passed everything and be living the dream that I've always dreamed of ever since I was a kid. Flying a huge contraption that has the ability to carry hundreds of passengers, getting paid to travel and see the world, flying amidst the clouds. Those are things that could be. Yes, I know that it's not like I've already passed all the tests to be a pilot, but the thing that sucks the most is not even being given the opportunity to try it out and see things through. I would never know if I was eligible for it, whether the knowledge and skills that I've worked on for the past few years have paid off, whether I'm suitable to be a pilot through my medical checkup before the fall, or whether being a pilot is actually something I actually wanted to do. I could never have those answers answered, which was what made me felt so frustrated than simply failing due to my injury. However, it was also due to this incident that taught me one of the most valuable lessons in my life. It took me long enough to reach this point, but here it is. If If your life is crappy or depressed, it's your own fault. No one is to be blamed other than yourself. Yes, my instructor shouldn't be making us train under such crappy weather conditions and asking us to run fast when we should actually be seeking shelter. But it's also my fault for giving into that pressure and running faster when I could just ignore him and run more carefully. Sure, I'll get shouted and screamed at by him, but that's really all there is to it. I made the choice to run faster. He didn't use his hand and push me to run faster. I did it. I made the stupid choice to run faster and not surprisingly, slipped and broke my arm. It was all my fault. The state of depression that I was in after that incident was also due to my fault. I made the choice to give in to my emotions and wallow in self-pity. I made the choice to constantly think of the things that could be instead of reflecting on how I can move forward from there. No one else was hiding behind me, constantly telling me to be depressed and to feel like shit. I did it to myself. The very fact that I was able to move on from all of that and be here right now sharing with all of you on this story of mine that marks a depressing point in my life was testament that everything that happened was all due to the choices that I've made. Where am I in life right now is due to the choices that I've made. Not anyone else but me. And that goes the same for you. Where you are right now in life, everything that you have experienced, all the ups and downs, the happy moments, the sad moments, whether you're poor or rich, was all due to the choices that you have made. No one made them for you. You made them. The mistakes, the failures was no one else's fault but you. If you are living in a crappy environment, living on minimum wage, working at a job that you hate, it's all due to the choices that you have made. You got yourself into this and not anyone else. With that said, you're the only one that can get yourself out of that mess. If there's another thing that I've learned from this depressing moment of my life was that it's all part of life. You can't expect life to be smooth sailing and always be listening to you like an obedient puppy. Sometimes shit happens and there's really nothing you can do about it. It's all part of life. What you can do is how you react to this kind of situations. You can either wallow in self-pity, blaming everyone else except yourself on a situation that you are in, knowing that no matter how much you do that, you cannot change a single thing. Or look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself that everything is okay. Tell yourself you are thankful for still being here, for being alive. The very fact that you are alive means that you can still make changes because you are given this one thing when you're born on this earth, the power to make a choice. As long as you are alive, as long as you still have all your limbs, you still can see, you can hear, you can feel, you can taste, you are still good and there's nothing to be depressed about. Money can always be earned back. New relationships can be made every day. Time heals everything. The true brave ones are those that still moved on after losing their limbs. I myself couldn't imagine how difficult it could be to pick myself up from that. But look around you. How many people have lost their limbs or sustained injuries that forever changed the way they live life? Can you imagine the shit that war veterans have to go through moving forward from then? But they did. These type of people are really the true testaments to all of us that we really don't have any excuses for our shitty or depressed, crappy lives. It's all on us. Whatever that you're going through, I know it's difficult. I know it can seem like you can never get out of that shithole that you're in right now. I know how it feels like to have something taken away when it's just inches away from you. Don't get me wrong, this story obviously isn't the one and only crappy phase of my life. There's tons of others that I'll be more than happy to share on this channel for you to learn from. But it doesn't matter because I've learned how to move on from them. And you can too. After many years, my left arm has mostly recovered and I'm able to exercise normally. But every now and then, I would still experience pain that requires me to take a break for a couple of days. Certain positions that my arm is in would feel awkward and painful compared to my right arm. But on the bright side, it really doesn't matter because I'm just happy that I've moved on from then and have been given other opportunities that I wouldn't trade away for anything else. Every one of these events are essential to teach you a certain life lesson. If you can learn from each and every one of them, tell yourself that everything will be okay and moved on from them. You'll get so much stronger and you'll be that much closer to that happiness and self-fulfillment that awaits you at the end of the tunnel.